Shalom. This is Asar Basrala in Latin Camp, located in Jacksonville, Florida. First and foremost, like to bring honor, glory to the Father and the Son, and the perpetuity between. Call Lam La, Yahawashi Is, Bashem, Habakak, Kodash Ma'amaf. Also, dub to the elders of the Apostle GMS, dub on Samad as well. R1 Masrala. Peace best to word. Peace best to 1/3. And men, women, and children, I believe. On the name Yahawashi Is. You know, I say to the whole full let. It's gonna be a quick lesson going on the appearance of the Lord, but also being spiritual as well as physical. You know, the physical part of it is that he actually is a so-called black man. You know, as I'm finna read in Revelation 1:13, and that does matter because he has been painted as the image of Esau, the Caucasian race. You know, for the past, it's like the 15, 1400s, like since basically, around time of Caesar Borgia, which was one of the first likeness of their Jeebus, So that's been the image that our people have in their head. Even if they don't have it in their head, that's the image that is accepted still, if you see someone with a tattoo of Jeebus, it's gonna be the Edomite looking Jeebus with dog hair. What's it called? Armpit hair on his head and blind eyes. You're not gonna see a man of war, a man of power. The healer, the real lamb, the perfect lamb, Yahawashi. You know, but ultimately the spiritual part being that the difference between that his burnt brass skin, of his foot, and the foot being the same color as your body, as most people are. That color being different from that polished brass or that burnt brass being a different and more refined, more radiant, and more bright brass than ham. Than the Philistines or the Persians or any dark races. Mostly ham. Those are the more dark races. Of course, I think some Japhet be pretty dark or whatever, but nonetheless, ham being a very dark race, but their skin is very dark, but it's not polished. They're not clean themselves. They ham. They like to play with dookie and stuff. So that's all. Our people are have always been down with cleaning themselves, and that's physical. But we with herbs and cleaning and anointing ourselves with oil and honey. Always cleaning and washing ourselves. Even today, man. Even if you don't got it like that, you still gonna try to get yourself looking good, smelling good, all that stuff, man. But ham run around, with just a cloth on, little tiny cloth, man. No sane sober Jake is gonna do anything a hand does. That's what separates us. We ain't the same people. I'm gonna go ahead and get that, and it's honor for that Bible dictionary. Combat Bible dictionary. It says Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So these are what these Africans that you see today. Though the name Africa comes from Scipio Africanus, a Roman general, but their real name would be Ham, or the Canaanites, and they are the dark races, the very tall, tall people you see today. And once upon a time, they would call themselves grand because they were very tall and big, but nonetheless they're not grand because of their spiritual. They're grand because they're literally physically tall. We're seen as we were tyrants and followers, but we were renowned men, Nephilim, Nephilim, I think I said right, Nephilim. Nonetheless, renowned men, but that's because we had, spiritual powers, but we just didn't have the Lord at the moment. But nonetheless, we are now we have the spirit of understanding knowledge, the spirit of knowledge and understanding, you know. That's a spiritual blessing. We don't have a spiritual power, but we have a spiritual understanding, you know. And that's what makes it different from any other people on the earth right now. Even the ones that even our people, because the only thing they have is a zeal. 2/3 may have a zeal, but they don't believe in the Lord Yahweh Shemashah. You know, either they have a zeal or nothing. They go for 2/3 though. But yeah, I'm gonna read it real quick. It's one chapter, Revelation chapter 1 verse 13, and it says, "In the midst of 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot." As do we all have garments, garments on. That's how the Lord did it back in the day, and the days of old, and that's how we do it now. We doing it like the Lord do it. It says, "And girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire." All right, his eyes were a flame of fire. That fire being kindled in his eyes. That's that indignation that he has for our people. The righteous indignation that he has for our people. He's angry with our people, day and night. He's angry with the wicked because they're doing wickedly, especially to our people, because we are his people and we're not supposed to be doing the things of the heathens, but we are. And so the Lord had to do his job as a big brother, as a king of Israel, and smack 2/3. It says, verse 15, "In his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burnt in a furnace, and his voice as of the sound of many waters." So that part, in his feet unto fine brass, and as if they burnt in a furnace. Of course, these hand mics are very dark. And one of the things that made me say that is that I saw a hand mic last camp. It was very dark. You may think it's the same as the Lord being very dark, but nah, I feel like it's totally different. Like at least on a spiritual standpoint, because one is polished and refined and radiant. He got the light from the Lord Yahweh Shai. Or got a light from the Lord Yahweh, the Father, and the Creator of heavens and earth. And one is, damn, so he's very dark, but he's not Jake. He's just dark. He's just like in the days of old. They were grand. They were the sons of Anak. They were what they call the Anunnaki now, or the Anak, worshiping. They're grand because they're tall, but not because they're actually. They're grand because they're tall and they're quote unquote mighty, But someone like David is renowned. He's a hero, an actual hero. He slayed Goliath with a stone, man. Being around 12 years old, he's actually mighty and grand because the spirit that he possesses, just like Yahawashi. He's mighty and grand because the spirit that he possesses, being that perfect lamb, that perfect sacrifice, the Lord's only begotten Son. You know, so come, man. It says his voice has the sound of many waters. So come, man. That is what Yahawashi is. That is who Yahawashi is, man. He is a perfect being, a lamb slain perfectly and righteously, through the power of the Lord Yahweh, the Father, you know. And he knew his sacrifice, and he still went with it, because he's that perfect sacrifice. It was no other way that we can be saved, and now it's the same way. It's no other way that we can be saved other through the name of the Lord Yahweh Shemashah. All right, I'll just give you a picture, burnt brass. I think it'd be a better picture, a little more darker, but it says burnt brass, But nonetheless, that would it be. Like I said, once again, just to reiterate, the physical and the spiritual, He is a so-called black man from the tribe of Judah. He looked like us, darker than us and everything, because he like a burnt brass, you know. Ham, on the other hand, he is also dark, but he's not. You wouldn't compare him to something like that. You wouldn't compare this to a jewel. You compare someone like Jake to a jewel, like brass, or brass, or what's it called, like jasper or amber, like a brown color, man. Um, but this is second Thessalonians chapter 3. I think 3. No, sorry, Second Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 7. It says, "For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, being Esau, the Caucasian race. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way." So man, he would not stop his wickedness until he's taken out of the way. The person that's gonna take him out of the way is Yahawashi ultimately being Yahawashi, that redeemer, that healer, that avenger, that man of war. It says, "And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming," being Yahawashi. The Lord set up Yahawashi to be the redeemer, to be the holy one of Israel, and to be a perfect lamb, perfect sacrifice. Now he's that big brother. He's our Messiah. He's that demon-like power that's coming out of them heavens, with a fleet of chariots, fleet of angels, to do the will of the Lord, and destroy this place and destroy Esau off the face of the earth, having crowns in his hand from destroying these kings. You know. So it says, "For the mystery of iniquity doth us like," and then it says, "Shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy the brightness of his coming." So ultimately on that brightness, that brightness and radiancy, a radiance, a radiant and bright, like, I don't want to say skin tonight, because it don't matter about the skin, it matter about the spirit. But for you outside does, of course, because he's a so-called black man from tribe of Judah. But ultimately, the radiance of his presence, that's something that's going to just like make Esau's jaw drop all the way. A so-called black man, 10 feet tall, man, come out the skies. You ain't gonna never think about that. Even Jake, man, even two other people, they're gonna be like, "This, there's no way that it's happening," you know. So, but that's what it's gonna be, honestly, man. In all honesty, um, Esau want to make sure that never happens. He gonna set up his space force. He gonna set up all types of junk, man, to make sure that does not happen, because he does. That's like a nightmare, Just a so-called black man that has power. Not only the power, but the power of the whole universe. That's what Yahawashi has, and he has the power to take these people out of the way, because they're not gonna stop letting until they taken out of the way. This is Hebrews chapter 1. I'm sorry, verse 3. Let's start verse like 2. It says, "Hath in the last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds, who being the brightness of his glory." It's his Son Yahawashi. Yahweh has appointed Yahawashi to do a lot of things in the earth, man. Allowing to shape the world, man. How being the brightness of his glory, in the express image of his person. The Son looked just like the Father looked just like the Son. So that brightness, that radiance that Yahawashi has, it was given to him by Yahweh. Yahweh chose him. Yahweh chose Yahawashi, and that same radiance follows through the Son, and also is going to be his servant as well. He wants to give us. He going to give it to us. The one, at least the one that believe in Yahweh Shemashah, and of course the elect. The earth is on part of that number. All right. It says, "And I'm holding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged out our sins, sat down on the right hand of the Majesty on high." being made so much better than the angels, as hath being in inheritance obtained more excellent name than they. Um, so kind, that's because he was, he was made a little lower than the angel, but he was one of the first creatures ever made. Creatures being creations, you know. Now he's on the right hand of the Father, just like I read in Revelation 1:13. That's him. That's him in his heavenly body, on the right hand of the Father Yahweh, you know. So he has died. He has died for our sins and purged our sins, through going through that sacrifice and being crucified, you know. Um, and now he's in the heavens right now. He waiting on this place to be the story. He waiting on his sign, just like we waiting on our sign, man. Our job is to do the work of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai. His job is to wait patiently, to that sign come up for Yahweh, and then to come down this place and seek judgment, get revenge, and avenge at the same time. This is Numbers chapter 31, verse 23. Everything that may abide the fire, ye shall make and go through the fire. It shall be clean, nevertheless shall be purified with the water of separation. And all things that abideth not the fire, ye shall make go through the water. I was trying to get a point on fire, but I think a better one would be as gold is trying the fire, man, because Yahawashi has experienced being in the flesh, man. Yahawashi, Yahawashi cried, he wanted to come down to this place and experience what humans experience. He did it. He sacrificed himself for us as well. He purged our sins. Of course, we still have the sin today, but in the curses have gone away with it. But them curses gonna come all back at once, being Yahawashi, man. Uh, not individual curses, but just being there is a judgment that's gonna come to our people that don't believe in Yahweh Shema Shadow. But so that fire being that refinement of the spirit in the person, man. So a burnt brass is gonna be fired, it's gonna be polished, it's gonna be new, not like not just like a regular mineral, not like a regular rock. It's not gonna just be uh heated up 400 degrees and just and just plopped up on a pedestal. It has to be refined, with fire. It has to be it got to be polished, and in his case it was burnt. It was burnt and then polished and it made radiant, you know. So that's what's happened to that's what has happened to the Lord spiritually. That's why he's on the right hand of the Father now. He has earned he has earned everything, earned and deserved, and has done everything he was asked to do. He has one more thing to do, you know. This is Revelation 19, starting at verse 11. It says, "And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war." Being Yahawashi, man, on a white horse, a pure virgin horse, clean. He's completely clean. He has done the works of the Father, and like I said, he has one more thing to do. That's coming out of them skies, man. He going this book of Revelations is a time of revealing. This has not happened. Has not happened yet. He still got to cry out them skies and scare Esau poopless. And two-thirds of our people would, because they don't believe in him. They don't believe that they're kings and princesses or princesses. They may think they're kings, but on a carnal sense, just like these Hamites, just like the Philistines, just like Goliath, boasting in his armies, his spears and his shields. Those are the same Philistines that we had to date them, Hamites, and they're dark skinned as well, man. Our people think they them, Of course, the heathens don't think they us and stuff. They know the difference, you know. And the Lord being described as someone that has burnt brass, a dark skinned man, But ultimately, he not just dark skinned. He has the spirit of the Most High Yahawashi Messiah. He is the chosen tribe, chosen nation. Israel, and one of the top tribes being Judah. You know. So verse 11, I'm read it again. Well, I'm gonna read verse 12. It says, "His eyes were as a flame of fire, of course, anger at our people, and his head were many crowns." Being the crowns he gonna take from all these kings of the earth. Putin and Xi Jinping, man, all them crowds is gonna be taken away and stripped because they're not gonna rise up either. It's not gonna be Magog after Esau. It's not gonna be Moab after Esau. It's gonna be us. It's gonna be the nation Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and birds. It says he had a name written that no man knew, but he himself, and he was clothed with the vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh. Ultimately, his name is Yahawashi. He is all these things, faithful and true. He is the Word of Yahweh, man. He's the Lamb slain. I know. Uh, And yeah, his sword gonna be his sword gonna be dipped in blood. The horse is gonna be the horse is gonna be up to the horse's blood gonna be it's like the blood is gonna be up to the horse's bridle. Being that a lot of people gonna be slain. Work and stuff is gonna be done. You know, but ultimately that was a lesson just going on the spirit of what that means. 1:13 being a polished brass. Actually, I got one more. Might well get Daniel chapter 10, verse 6. It says, his body also was like beryl, and his face has the appearance of lightning, very bright, very, very radiant. And his eyes were as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of multitude. A very powerful speaking man, a very polished and radiant looking man, and his appearance of lightning like bright, you know. And and hey, I'm gonna do a pun because when 2/3 our people in Esau see me, they gonna be shocked. That's why I'm just playing. But nonetheless, yeah, he is that spirit, man. That was created before one of the first creatures ever created. That's a spirit that Yahawashi has. He's one of the first creatures that was ever created and was set up by Yahweh. And he looking like us, we looking like him. You know, put get a little more beard and everything, and. But ultimately, Yahawashi want us to be like him. So does the Father. That's what we need to be like. We need to be like Yahawashi. So that polished brass, of course, is physical because he's a very dark man, but it's also being polished, being fire, and being refined, being word and trials and tests and tribulations. That's what we must go through now. He already has done. That's what we have to follow after it. But that was a lesson, going on that. And yeah, this was an edifying little lesson like that on his Shalom.